All right, Alan. So, welcome to our contractor training that we are pushing out right now on Ultravation. And just for a quick refresher for you, Sales Management Solutions, we are the reps from Delaware to Maine. So, we cover a large territory. I'm based in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I primarily lead most of our accounts in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York with our wholesalers, and then help gentlemen like yourself and your companies with professional training on IAQ and UV training specifically for this line. So I've been around this industry for now over 7 years, but I've been around training and sales and marketing for a long period of time as well. So without that being said, I figured I was always going to remind people that I'm happy to train, I'm happy to teach on this product line and others. But for today, since we're targeting Ultravation and just trying to help everybody get on the same page right now during this crazy time of the pandemic, we're going to be defining IAQ, indoor air quality technology. We're going to help people understand, including yourselves, the clarifications with the ASHRAE guidelines and the CDC on UVC and UVGI, and there's a lot of other buzzwords getting tossed around these days. And then I'll help you guys understand just some of the products we're leading with right now. Ultravation does do a lot residentially and commercially, and it's important just to direct people in the right path, just to stay aligned. There's a lot of the technology we have out there, but we're not overly pushing it right now. We want to stay directly aligned with obviously the ASHRAE standards. So that being said, biggest thing I like to ask people, if I'm a contractor or a wholesaler or just myself, is when I step into a situation is, okay, when, where, why? And then obviously associated with the when, where, why is, well, okay, there's just really three things that we're going to be targeting: filtration, UV disinfection, and UV air purification. And that's going to differ residentially versus commercially. So this is just a fun mock-up that we like to share because there's definitely different ways to attack and accomplish this. This is obviously a residential application in an attic space. But again, this is just a mock-up. There's definitely different products we use, but this is just representing upper right-hand corner here is a zoomed-in shot of how we use our ionization technology in reference to filtration. I'll get into that a little bit. And then here in the center, I have just a mock-up of some UV lamps mounted in and around a coil area to keep surface area disinfection happening. And then we have induct solutions to help with the airborne and more air purification side of things as well. So again, mock-up, we'll get into more details in a little bit. To get the crazy buzzwords out of the way, there's lots of different ways of attacking indoor air quality these days, technology-wise. There's obviously humidification versus dehumidification, ways to bring in fresh air, et cetera. But as far as Ultravation, our manufacturer is concerned, we're primarily addressing three areas. We're going to discuss UVGI, PCO, and ionization. UVGI isn't overly thrown around unless people are heavily experienced in Chapter 62 of the ASHRAE handbook and the guidelines, because it's not just about throwing around UV. UV is a very general statement. I'll have another slide in a little bit that kind of really breaks down the components of UV. But per the guidelines, per the recommendations, if you are applying products using UVC wavelength bulbs, then you're technically applying UVGI technology, which stands for ultraviolet germicidal irradiation, in that HVAC system. So in order to pull off UVGI technology, which is the application, you have to be using a UVC wavelength bulb or lamp. And the biggest reason why is because it's a very destructive wavelength of light. I'll show you that later. And it really helps break down live organisms down to the nucleic acids, disrupting, et cetera, et cetera. PCO and ionization. These are add-ons. So you really have to start with the first and don't worry about that other stuff until you've at least accomplished UVGI. PCO has become very popular in recent years because this kind of amplifies things. You can add on a photocatalytic oxidation process, which basically takes the UVC wavelength light and we get it to react with a catalyst, which is titanium dioxide. So we have higher end products that have the titanium dioxide on metal surfaces or infused with carbon. And with the UV light, and I'll show you this in a little while, the UV light will activate that and create that catalyst effect. And that creates basically an invisible field around that product as the air is passing by. It's actually being deodorized, decontaminated, et cetera. So that's what photocatalytic oxidation means. That's your crazy, too much pronunciation for the day. Just call it PCO. And I'm actually going to switch the screen share here to show you an animation from our Ultravation company, so you understand how this all works. So this is just a representation of PCO, titanium dioxide, on a metal surface area of our Induct solution products. And I'll play that now for you. So stand by. I want to make sure the audio is going to come through off of the video as well. There we
go. Here's how it works. The UV Photomix Advanced Oxidation Module is coated with an exclusive titanium dioxide formulation. When UV light is applied to the surface, the titanium dioxide coating becomes energized, causing it to release electrons. The electrons then combine with oxygen to create what are known as superoxides. The titanium dioxide then collects replacement electrons from moisture in the air to become charged particles known as hydroxyl radicals. Together with the superoxides, a powerful photocatalytic oxidation, or PCO field, is created. As odors, germs, mold, and other VOC organic molecules approach the PCO field, they are disassembled as the oxidizers pull electrons from them. The purification process is completed, with the remaining molecules recombining to form simple water vapor and trace amounts of carbon dioxide. Ultravation's advanced oxidation process.
All right, so lots of buzzwords, lots of science experiments. Long story short, they're referencing we have titanium dioxide on those metal surfaces. Without the UVC wavelength bulb, it would never become activated or create that catalyst effect. So as long as you got a bulb shining 24/7, and as long as you got surfaces with that stuff on it, you create that field, as they kept saying in that video. There's a field created around the product. So as the air is just passing by on the supply duct, it's constantly being treated over and over again and breaking down those airborne components. And as per the video explained, when that reaction is done and the process is complete, it's basically just basic regular water vapor. Nothing is alive. The odors are gone. I've got technology like this in my house. I could cook with garlic and bacon and all kinds of stuff, and I'm not going to smell anything in a couple hours. It's pretty cool. So obviously other benefits besides just deodorization, a lot of air purification as well. So that's what PCO does. And again, as a reminder, it could be applied on metal surfaces of products like that. It could be infused or put onto surfaces of carbon. We have products that use actual carbon bricks instead of the metal because there is a ozone-y byproduct. A lot of people talk about ozone. So thanks to PCO, thanks to that cleaning process, there is that clean smell that comes off of that, and it's known as ozone. And for some people, it's a very, very, very rare percentage of the population. They might be a little sensitive, or they might not like the really, really super clean smell. I have one friend out of everybody I know that actually just said, wow, it's really strong to me. So he decided to go with products that use carbon, and I'll show you those in a little while, versus products that are using metal, because he did want the benefits of PCO besides just having a UVC lamp in his system. So that's an example of PCO. Ionization, long story short, no UVC wavelength technology at all, which means no chance of ozone at all too, because ionizations actually existed before UV as far as in the indoor air quality market. It kind of fell away for a little while, and then it made a comeback. The reason why ionization is important is because there are some people that just don't want anything with the UVC. Now, granted, per the ASHRAE guidelines, we are calling out indoor air quality applications. You must be using UVC light. I think it's important to just help people understand there is a difference. Ionization is basically a thunderstorm in your HVAC system. They literally figured out a way to create a generator, and I have a video animation for that too. But they created a generator that can basically replicate the positive and negative ions that are created from a lightning storm and a thunderstorm by Mother Nature. And they said, well, let's create that as a generator. Let's positively and negatively charge these particulates that are in the air. And there's stuff that you can't see to the naked eye, and that helps them kind of stick together, right? Positive and negative attract, and that helps these really, really micro particulates that we can't see actually bond together and help get caught on the filter more. And there's also, because of that reaction, there's also a breaking down of live components as well, but not at the severity of what UVC can do. So this is basically no audio, but this is an animation of how that ion generator works. 2 electrodes, one's doing negative, one's doing positive. It's releasing that charge into the air. And then things like bacteria, viruses, allergens, mold, etc. They're basically getting charged up with these particulates, and then that helps them get drawn together. Even stuff as simple as airborne smoke and dust. But those particulates are drawn together. They kind of basically plump up, if you will, and they'll actually reattract and then help the filter doing a better job. We make some high infiltration products too that don't necessarily have to require this, but this is just an example of how ionization works. A lot of people don't know how it works, but that's the long and story short of it, is that it's a thunderstorm in a box. You get what's called, air quote, thunderstorm fresh air. And we have products that I'll show you in a bit that actually combine UVC technology with the UV bulbs as well as ionization, just to give you the best of all the worlds. So, and that's something that's actually really popular right now with our competitors, and I'll help you clarify that in a little bit here. So that's UVGI cannot be possible without UVC wavelength bulbs. PCO cannot be possible without having a UVC wavelength bulb in the product as well. And then ionization is non-UV altogether. All right. This image comes directly from Chapter 62 of the ASHRAE Handbook. It's actually been in there before the 2019 edition, but I wanted to include it so you guys know that we actually read the stuff and actually build these trainings off of that. So per their training, and I have all these links that I call out on the right side here. I can email you. They're all linked. We actually have them all on our website at smsteam.co. It's actually in our resources section on all of our blogs that are IAQ related, as well as our page there for Ultravation. We have everything there. So it takes you directly to a nice, actually, we found out that they separated Chapter 62 out into its own downloadable PDF. So if you don't own the entire ASHRAE handbook, it's just go click on that link on our website and you can download that section, which is specifically targeted at UV and IAQ. Now, and then we have links there for the CDC and also just ASHRAE publications on what's been going on as well. But long story short, out of all that training, per these mock-ups, they're targeting UV in two different methodologies, right? We're dealing with surface, AKA coils, and we're dealing with airstream, AKA airborne. So that's what we're talking about here today, is there's really two phases that you have to be solving for depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So now, we talked about there's different light. So this is an important clarification. All frequencies of UV light exist, right? Everywhere from X-rays to all the way out to visible light. All right, the sun gives off UV light. A tanning bed gives off UV light. But not all UVC is created equal. Sorry, UV is created equal. So we specifically care about the UVC section of that spectrum. That is the most destructive for live organisms. That is why the CDC has it documented. That is why the ASHRAE guidelines specifically call out you must be working with UVC. There are some other products out there I've seen in the market that are trying to push UVB and UVA. They are not the most destructive. They are not aligned with the ASHRAE guidelines. So long story short, the only UV bulbs we sell with Ultravation, all products we have are UVC wavelength for the bulb technology. Long story short, I have all the bullet points here, but yeah, it's the most destructive. It's going to break down live microorganisms. It is dangerous. Okay, this is why you usually try and capture the light or mount the light inside of an HVAC system. You don't take one of our UVC bulbs and stick it in the middle of a room and light it up. Not a good idea. It is, with enough exposure, enough time, you can actually burn your retinas and possibly create some burns on the skin from that frequency. It is designed to break things down. Do not put it out in the middle of a room. I had somebody ask me that. And obviously, because it's in the spectrum, yeah, it does give off a little bit of UVA, UVB too, but again, all we care about is UVC. And the other cool thing here, I like this little mock-up. A lot of contractors like this. It helps them see that at the center of this purple sphere, picture looking at the very tip, the end of the bulb, but it's representing as light is irradiating outward from the tube. The strongest concentrations are obviously the closer to the bulb you are. So when we start going over surface applications, that's why we care, hey, the closer you can get it to the coil, the more effective it will be. If you're mounting a bulb over 2 feet away from a space, you're not going to get maximum disinfection rates. So that's why we like to see bulb mounting happening in 12 inches or less, which is per this mock-up. That's why we're showing you how the intensity decreases as you move further and further away. The other reason why also is, if you tie over here the highlight, UVC dissipates very rapidly in the atmosphere. So obviously, once it's irradiated outward from the bulb, it is more airborne. It has already started losing its potency. So further down the line or further away from the bulb, it's just not going to be as dangerous. So the closer, the better for what you're trying to accomplish. So that's UVC wavelengths. We don't care about A and B. It's all about C. And then per the guidelines, just to get this definition stuff out of the way, if you have purchased products using UVC lamps, then you can say, great, per the ASHRAE guidelines, I'm applying UVGI technology into an HVAC system, whether it's residential or commercial. So it is safe to say, and we just gave you some examples that, okay, great, I am using a UVC lamp, which is a section of the electromagnetic spectrum, fine. But the next couple of points are really important. UVGI is the technology, that is the tool. So it is generated by using those lamps. So if I'm putting a bulb or a lamp on a coil, then you can say, great, I'm actually applying UVGI technology on the coil. If I'm sticking that lamp in an airstream to do some air purification, great, I'm saying, great, I'm applying UVGI technology in the airstream. And then we have commercial situations where an upper room is, I'll show you that later, is something to deal with a wide open space. So if I'm applying a product that has UVC bulbs in it to an upper room application, great, I am applying UVGI technology in the upper room. And then the last point here is, again, if you decide to deal with products that are applying PCO, now you're doing more than one technology. So you can still say at the base level, if I have a UVC lamp in there, I'm applying UVGI technology, but if I also have titanium dioxide coated products for the PCO, well, then technically I'm applying UVGI in the airstream plus PCO. So that's an add-on level. So that this bottom bullet point kind of sums it off. It's fair to say that any of the products using UVC lamps do UVGI in addition to other tech that exists. So whether you're addressing coil surface or airstream, that's how you would explain it if you're going to stay aligned with ASHRAE. All right. Not all bulbs are created equal, Alan. And I like this slide. I like to clarify because a lot of guys didn't realize there's some really nice bulbs out there and there's some basics. We sell both. Our products are available most of the time on the lower end in both, but once you move up into the higher end, everything has this bulb. We patented a T3 bulb is what we call it. That's our patented title. And the reason why is because they basically said, great, let's take that standard UVC wavelength lamp bulb, and we're actually going to slide that into a special quartz casing. And the reason why is we're trying to get maximum potency out of the bulb. Well, depending on the time of year, especially summer, if you're running cold air all the time past these bulbs in an HVAC system, you're constantly chilling that glass layer of the bulb. So it's not really reaching its maximum bulb potency if it's constantly being cooled while it's also trying to warm itself up. So per the graph here in the bottom right, the average standard UVC bulb, if it doesn't have this design, you're going to reach probably on the high end like 70% capability, depending on the time of year, obviously depending on the temperature. But if you put in our T3, well, that's great because now, because we've insulated it, we've protected it with a layer of gas between the bulb and the quartz sleeve. All right, it's not going to get wet. It's not going to get dirty. It can hit its maximum intensity. So you're going to get about 40% more energy out of that bulb because of that simple insulation design. So great, now I can get 100% capability out of my bulb. So I'm going to get maximum potency out of its glow, so to speak, 24/7. The big reason why I clarify all this is, yes, we got these bullet points on the left. The bulb is actually can be more efficient because it's not constantly chasing after itself in the summertime. It is more protected. It is going to last. But most people don't understand this. When you look up bulb warranties, whether it's us or anybody else, everybody tells you, for the most part, bulbs are guaranteed for 2 years. The guarantee means it's going to stay lit for 2 years. If it fails before the 2 years, then you can replace the lamp under warranty. The important clarifier here is that does not mean that you change the bulb every 2 years. Our T3, yes, that is rated as an 18,000 hour lamp. So you get 2 years life out of that bulb because of its design. If you bought our standard basic UV bulb, like everybody else's, then that is a 2-year guaranteed bulb, but it's a 1 year, it's a 9,000 hour life cycle battery. So you're only getting 1 year life out of that. You're getting, after about a year burning 24/7, you've already burned through, depending on the situation, anywhere from 40 to 60% of its bulb's potency. So that's why we're telling you, listen, make it a part of your annual PM cycle. Preventative maintenance, you're going to come in, check the coil, maybe clean the coil, swap the bulbs if you're not using a T3. If you're using T3, which are standard on all of our higher end stuff and all of our commercial stuff, T3 is standard. We don't even mess around. Then great. From a PM perspective, you can come back and check the coil clean every year if you're doing that, but don't worry about changing those bulbs until the 2 years up. So that's a true 2-year life. So 9,000 hour versus 18,000 hour lamps. That's an important clarification. A lot of people don't realize that. All right. Enough selling on T3. It's just better. Not all bulbs are created equal. This is a very educational slide, I've been told, by many contractors and wholesalers. So I made it its own slide. I had this graph later on in the training, but I decided to make it big and easy. Long story short, we said earlier, when you step into a job site, what are you solving for? You're asking that question. And this helps identify that. At the bottom of this list on the graph are surface area concerns, right? Streptococcus, some E. coli, things of that nature. These are all surface level. Like picture a countertop, or in this situation, bacteria that could cling or possibly grow on a coil surface. So that's blue. Now, green are airborne concerns. So as you move from these bacterias up into some of these bacteria get more airborne, and then you enter into, here we go, influenza A, right? So you're entering in the virus sector, and then you can go all the way up to these more very, very dangerous viruses called echovirus, right? So if I just installed UV lamps on a coil, residentially or commercially, now this came from our commercial training, then great. I'm dealing with streptococcus. I got 99.96%. I don't need much airstream to deal with. But if I'm moving into the influenza sector and I only have stuff addressing coils, I'm still going to have an impact. I mean, let's say it's I can't even say half of these, the Shigella here, right? So great, I have 57.96% average disinfection rate if I just have stuff on the coil. But if I really want to promise my customer, or my customer's asking for a 70% disinfection rate or greater, well, I have to be adding something into the airstream to get that extra level of support happening, an extra level of air purification. If I'm just dealing with coil surfaces, I'm just doing surface area disinfection. I need to get that air purification, especially as you move into these more airborne viruses. So that's an important graph just to represent that. That'll come up later as I skim through what we're doing for the medical campuses and commercial and stuff like that, just to help you understand how it connects residentially and commercially. So this is just a quick overview. We got a lot of stuff, way more than what this even shows, but I just like the center of this image where we do everything from large particulates, AKA filtration, to obviously helping boost that with some ionization, to moving into that more molecular versus biological down across the right side here, getting into things from coil to airborne. And there's lots of different options out there. It all comes down to what you want to offer your customers. So I'm going to help guide a little bit on that so you can understand how you can kind of build almost like a good, better, best, or maybe you just want to say, listen, I only want to deal with this and that's it. So the advantage here is something that nobody else really has. We created a couple of years ago a throwaway bulb design. So basically you just come back every year or every 2 years if you get the T3 version of it, and you just take the screws out, grab this black module off the side of the ductwork or off the side of the plenum, pull it out, throw it away, slap a whole brand new product in. So it doesn't need to be sold as a lifetime warranted product because it's so basic. You're just changing the bulb every year or every 2 years if you have the T3 model, and you get a new warranty every single time because there's no need to make a lifetime. There's no extra technology to warranty. It's very, very simplistic. So this is obviously entry level. This is just something to help your customers who are very budget conscious and, hey, I just want to get something in there. I need to have much more of an easily accessible price point. So again, we make them in 12-inch or 17-inch, which are standard for residential applications. You don't have to install it with this carbon module shown in the image here. This is just, we're showing it with an accessory add-on. These could just be purchased with the lamps by themselves. That's why we have this categorized as a coil recommendation. Can you add on this carbon module strip? Yes. Does that then give you PCO? Yes. Those carbon have the titanium dioxide on it. So I could go entry level and just slap a bulb in over a coil or under a coil if it's an N coil versus an A coil, and I could use this as a standalone throwaway product. If I want to give them a little bit more, add a little bit more air purification in, then I add the accessory on. It's not required. They can be ordered different ways. So your options here are cool. You can get a basic 1 year, 9,000 hour option, come back every year and change it. You can get it in a T3 2-year option. It's a standalone product. You can't add anything else on. So if you need, more than one bulb on an application, you're going to get more than one of these and wire each one up. Our higher end solutions, you don't need to do that. I'll show you that a little bit. Again, T3 is an option, and you can hard mount these, you can magnetic mount these. It's an always in warranty product because of that throwaway design. So another important reminder here on all of our products, bottom right here, homeowners cannot order replacements. This is a pro trade company. We don't do with the consumers. They can go to the website. They can look up you guys. Like after today, I'm going to make sure you guys are listed as a trained and authorized contractor on ultravation.com. There's a search tool. They can plug in their city, state, zip code, and find contractors around them that have been authorized to work with these products who have gone through these trainings. You will have that option after today. But they can't go buy our bulbs. They have to work with a contractor, and the contractor sources them through our approved wholesalers who are distributors. That's it. Truly pro trade relationship. If somebody's finding these bulbs somewhere on Amazon or elsewhere, some contractor probably bought extras and tried to sell them online. I don't know what he's doing. We don't care. This is Advantage Power PCO. Basically, next level up. We took the same throwaway bulbs and said, if somebody wants even more air purification, well then great, let's make the beefy option. So this is only available in T3 to give you that maximum bulb potency. It is obviously then a 2-year replacement standard. And this is the apparatus that actually gets installed into the ductwork. You actually have the carbon strip, which was an option before, but is now standard. And it actually has 2 additional shields of titanium dioxide mounted on there as well. So basically it gives you 2 to 3 times the titanium dioxide available. So you're getting 2 to 3 times more PCO. But again, because it's carbon, the carbon absorbs the ozone. So the last option, if you put carbon on, and this option, which carbon is standard, this can be offered as a 0 ozone product because of the carbon. But again, one of these things where it's basically always in warranty because you just come back and change that lamp module once every 2 years and you're done. So again, you can get this in 12-inch or 17-inch, but it's only available with T3. This is really helping amp up people who need even more deodorization going on, but are still looking for something more simplistic. And obviously because of the size, you're probably not going to be able to, well, you definitely probably are not going to be able to fit this in under a small A coil. This is something there, if the coil is really close to your plenum on the supply, you could get this thing right into the bottom of that plenum, right over that coil if the coil's on top there, and you can get it in that way. But again, these more entry-level options. This is our top recommended solution right now. If you've shopped around on IAQ, a lot of people are tossing around like the Remy Halo. There's another company, Remy Halo is made by RGF. There's another company out there making a product called APCO. I'm going to show you a comparison on those in a little while, actually in the next couple slides here. But long story short there, it's just a matter of, well, are they all created equal or are they different? And well, they aren't. So our Solaris is much stronger and provides a lot more tech than all of our competition. And I'll represent that on our cross-reference here in a couple of minutes. But right now, I just want to call it out. The reason why this is obviously the best is, one, there's a lot more tech here. You actually have the PCO happening. This metal screen is actually 2 layers thick. So we have 200 square inches wrapped around that bulb. So there's 4 panels going around once, and then another 4 panels going around again. All of those metal surfaces have titanium dioxide on them. So we're generating a lot more PCO. And then to give you even more air purification, we took that ionization technology and added it in there too. So there's actually 4 electrodes inside this thing creating those negative and positive ions as well. And so you're going to get the Thunderstorm Fresh Air. You're going to get the UVC lamp, T3 standard. So this is creating your UVGI technology in the Airstream. But this is a lifetime warranty product. There's a lot more technology here. Inside that power head, there's a lamp monitoring device. It's powering the ionization. So this is our lifetime warranty product. This goes in the supply. And I'll show you here with the cross-reference in a bit. This is also scalable. So again, per ASHRAE, we should be addressing surface and Airstream, right? Well, let's make it easy for you guys to install it. Only wire one thing. So you wire this power head, and then you could just mount it as a standalone unit, be done. But if you do want to address coil applications, we do make standalone, we call them our easy lights, a standalone bulb, magnetic or hard mount, doesn't matter, 12 or 17 inch, but it comes with a Y jack. So you've already powered the Solaris. I'm going to pull out the Easy Light. I'm going to mount that over the coil, and that wire is going to plug right into the Solaris head. We just send you a little Y jack. So the Y jack splits off, so you can power the Solaris and the add-on lamp at the coil, and you're done. So you're only going to have to do any, tapping off power one time. So you have the option of adding on coils. That's a big win. Our competition doesn't do that. If you need a zero ozone version of this, this is technically not a zero ozone product, right? Because we have the PCO happening. It is scalable. When you take the power head off, we have an adjustment rod in there, and it has a rating on it saying CFMs versus square footage. So if you want to adjust based on CFMs, or you want to adjust based on square footage for the home, you could just adjust that rod. So we do make it adjustable. We can actually dial up or dial down the amount of PCO reactioning happening without impairing the amount of UV being given off. So that's a huge win. I'll show you that in a bit. But that is scalable, but it's not a zero ozone product. So the other version of this that was out before this came out, we do have a zero ozone version. It's called the Catalyst. And the reason why, as you could tell, is it's all carbon. There's no metal with the titanium dioxide on it. There's actually 3 strips of carbon that you can't see all the way around this. When you basically install that in the ductwork, there is no ionization on this unit, but it does have the T3 bulb. It does have the carbon, and you're getting that higher level of air purification, but without the ozone because of all the carbon that's installed. But again, the Solaris is technically higher based on technology because we also have ionization built into that, and there's twice as much surface area. The difference is this is a true zero ozone product. But again, scalable. You can add on that Easy Light again, 12-inch or 17-inch for your coils. Again, same Y jack capability, same lifetime warranty. If anything ever goes wrong, you literally just pop that power head off, and we ship you the new one. You pop the new power head on, you're done. And then you just come back every 2 years and change the bulb. It's not rocket science. So these are our higher end residential solutions that are for air supply, and then giving you the ability to add on coil treatment as well. So as I hinted, it's good to help to understand the competition. I'm not here to bash them. I'm here just to compare and show how our technology is superior. So not all of them are the same. The competition is different. I'm going to switch the screen share over to a zoomed in version of this for you to help you better see. So, and I can send this to you as a separate PDF to help you guys out. So really the most popular ones out there right now are obviously our Solaris or the Catalyst if you want zero ozone. But as far as cross-referencing right now, on the right is the popular Remy Halo. And in the middle is APCO's, I don't even know what they call it, but there's different technologies though. You'll notice here, active PCO, Remy Halo is active PCO, but then the APCO is called passive PCO. Why? Because they have the carbon on it. So if I also had our Catalyst on this comparison, that would also say passive PCO. Because of the carbon, it's a zero ozone product. So that's the difference between active and passive. So right now, because Remy Halo is our #1 competitor right now, I'm just going to show you the differences between them to show how we actually exceed their technology. So we both are doing bipolar ionization. We have a stronger dual band bulb, and they're getting a lot more done. They use a single band 6-inch bulb in theirs. We have a larger, longer dual band 10-inch bulb. And then if you want to look at APCO, they've got a 12-inch, but it's a single band. So here's, I already said this, we have twice as much surface area creating the PCO, thanks to all that metal going around 2 times over. They have only 26 square inches. We have 200. Again, as far as reactor dimensions, we have a lot more going on. Twin active layers, nobody else does. Our construction's better. This is all made right in Vermont, made in the USA. So we do everything better. We have stainless steel plus aluminum. APCO's is all aluminum mostly. And then Remy Halo is plastic and aluminum. So I like to promote quality product manufacturing. We do have our own unique blend for our PCO. We actually use silver ions, which have been proven to reduce more airborne pathogens. The Remy Halo on the far right, they're doing like a zinc ion blend. So it's a different version. Ours is patented differently. We feel it's stronger and better. As far as adjustability, I hinted, ours is fully adjustable if you need to. It never blocks the UV disinfection process, but you get a 4-inch adjustment range to get that adjustment we discussed. Whereas Remy Halo, they only have a 2-inch adjustment range. And the way theirs works is there's actually little panels that slide up and block these openings. And the problem with that is now you're blocking the UV being emitted, and you don't want that. So ours doesn't do that. The other thing here is, again, ours is lifetime warranty. So we give you lamp monitoring. In case the lamp fails, you'll be able to see that. Nobody else is doing that at all. Again, ionization, we have four times the ionization happening there. APCO doesn't do it at all on that product. And Remy Halo does, but there's only two. So we're doing twice as much as they're doing. And then again, expandability. We want to be able to give you the option to easily add on coil treatment. So nobody else is doing that. You can't do that on those other products, ours you can. And that's a nice win. Again, lifetime. Okay. APCO does do lifetime, so kudos to them. But Remy Halo, no. They only have a 2-year PCO, and then they got a 5-year on the ballast. And then per their fine print, it says no warranty on parts that are outsourced. We don't care. We just lifetime warranty the whole product and be done with it. So whether it's a Solaris or that big UV catalyst, those are both lifetime warranted. You're just coming back and changing a bulb every 2 years. That's it for your maintenance cycle. So that quickly walks through a comparison there. That's the higher end stuff for residential. I'm going to switch back to the presentation because there's a couple odds and ends that you guys should definitely know about because not everybody has a ducted system. So for example, this has become a bit of an unsung hero in the past year or two, a portable air purifier. And this isn't the ones you're seeing on Instagram and Facebook and everything else right now. This is legit, okay? So we took all of our technology, we installed a washable filter inside of this thing. The carbon is in there right behind those holes. There's actually a full strip of carbon going across the front. But this is a small portable air purifier. This is great for like a room that you really want to target, or just a space that's doesn't have ductwork, doesn't have a ductless mini split system in it. So this will handle up to 500 square feet. There's a built-in little turbine fan underneath of it. You have the UVC lamp in there. You have carbon in there, and you have a washable filter in there. So this is a portable air purifier you can leave right on the desktop or put on a counter space. And it's great for like, really nasty areas like locker rooms and personal gyms or pet areas, but it works great for people's dorm rooms, maybe a targeted office or a kid's room. Doesn't matter. So this is a great way to deodorize, great way to deactivate airborne viruses, bacteria, et cetera. And I've actually had contractors use this to prove to a customer that it works. This is before, obviously, the pandemic happened, but I had a contractor, he keeps this in his truck. And if he knows it's going to benefit somebody, he says, hey, I'm going to leave this here for a week. You tell me if you don't notice better air in there, if you have allergens or you have asthma. He's actually said that people have come back and said, oh yeah, let's go ahead and figure out how to deal with the whole house. So again, only up to 500 square feet with this, but great portable option. And you're still getting the PCO, the photocatalytic oxidation, and it's a zero ozone product thanks to it being carbon. So as I hinted at ductless, there's not much you could do with the ductless market. They get really, really dirty, and I call them like little science experiments if you don't have this installed in it. But most guys I've known have installed mini splits ductlesses, and they have not signed up people on service contracts. On average, I've been on job sites, and I've seen within 2 to 3 years, ductless heads are getting a little nasty in there. So especially if you're in environments like pizzerias that have yeast, bakeries, bars, or just people who have high moisture homes and they have pet odors and everything else, the filters they give you on a ductless head, shouldn't even call it a filter. I call it a screen. And the problem is in the summertime, you got a lot of moisture going on. And yes, you have a drain line, but that moisture plus airborne particulates stick into the coils, stick into the blower wheel, you're going to see some growth. So we created a universal UV kit for that. So you can say, oh, great, I'm applying UVGI technology in a mini split ductless system. These bulbs are very small. The way they're designed, they have directional shielding going around 3/4 of the bulb. So that way, once you install these, and you can use the self-adhesive ends, there's self-adhesive padding on there, or you can hard mount them. Most guys just use the adhesive because they're going to come back in a year and change them. But you get to direct the light where you want it. So depending on the manufacturer, if you can get it up behind the coil, shine it straight across the coil. Some people want to target blower wheels a little bit more, so they just twist them down and point them on the blower wheel. Up to you on your install. The beauty for an install, it's auto power sensing. We don't care how the prior person installed it. The unit will pick out the power it needs and power the bulbs as it sees fit. Just like our higher end lifetime warranted induct stuff, we do give you lamp monitoring. So great if something fails in the bulb. Granted, if you looked up inside the head, you could see that it's glowing. I try to tell people, don't get your face in front of that, look up in there, but safety first. Again, we don't want to be staring at UVC wavelength light. But again, great way to inhibit. After 2 to 3 years, I've smelled these heads. They get funky. It is a petri dish effect. So universal kit for that. That mock-up image I shot on there was actually a live install I did on a Mitsubishi head. So The Orion, we saw the video. This is our Orion ion generator. We talked a lot about that. Again, you can get the same technology from that built in on that Solaris unit. These are great just to add on anywhere. If you want to beef up some filtration for IAQ, stick this right before the filter on the return. And even if you're not using our filters, that's going to help anybody's filter out there. You can mount them inside the system. You can go outside the system. The electrode generator rods do flip down. So you could just drill 2 small holes in through the ductwork or right on the return and mount this on the outside of it if you don't want to get inside and poke around. But I also know some light commercial guys using these on ice machines and PTAC units too. I mean, again, if they have the space, you could use something like this too. Guys that use these not just on ductless, but you could also go ionization if you wanted to as well. So, and again, to finish off the residential side of things, we do everything from UV to ionization to obviously most important thing is your filter. People who have 1 inch wide Home Depot crappy filters should listen to their contractors more. So anybody watching this on YouTube, once I have this live, please call Rite-Air and just let your professionals do the job right. So again, we only work with MERV 11, MERV 13 class filters. That's our filter that we designed. We don't have the pressure drop problems that everybody else has. A lot of contractors have stopped at the MERV 8 level for indoor air quality because they're worried about pressure drops and having to basically over-design the system. I have the graphs to prove it. We have very impressive performance out of these because we give you 32 feet of pleated filter inside of these. So that helps us give you more surface area so we don't have to weave the filter as tight. So you're able to actually trap a lot more particulates as each time it passes from the return to the supply over and over again. You definitely get better performance out of these than a HEPA filter. And you're getting at a MERV 13 level, which I have in my house, I can even trap the smell of auto emissions. That's how good these filters are. So again, we fabricate everything in Vermont. We make everything from straight through the right angles to these really, really nice support boxes for space saving and getting equipment off the ground. We'll even color paint, powder coat everything to match whatever brand of equipment you want. And some contractors even get the nice high-end silk screening on the doors so they have their marketing covered too for callbacks. So that's all the residential stuff. We do all the high-end stuff. I'm going to quickly slide through the commercial life because this isn't actually that complex. We play on residential and commercial. We do all the nice high-end stuff for big rooftops. The SI, S stands for surface area, right? So we do a coils on that one. AS, okay, Airstream, not rocket science. This is an example of a design we would put on a main supply duct Airstream. 4X, well, it's a NEMA 4X rated enclosure that is waterproof and is designed to hang on the outside of your rooftop equipment for smaller applications. And then all you got to do is cut accesses for the bulbs to come into the equipment and do their disinfection. So that's why it's called the 4X. It's a NEMA 4X rated enclosure. And then I hinted earlier in the presentation, upper room. I'll have a separate slide on this. This is something that was bigger in Europe for a while. And now we're getting a lot of calls for it back here ever since the pandemic unleashed because, and this could even possibly be applied residentially if you have a big enough house. But I'll get into this, but you need to have at least a 7-foot high ceiling to deal with that. But there's no motors, there's no fans. This is dealing with convective air, but helping contractors find a way to increase even more air disinfection in a wide open space. And this is actually called out in Chapter 62 of the ASHRAE guidelines. They actually, in the handbook, talk about upper room applications for wide open situations. So again, visually, this is an example of our SI racks stacked up on a tall coil with drain pan applications. And then obviously showing you how you can get 3 rows of bulbs spaced apart or 2 rows, et cetera. Really, the quantity of bulbs and the spacing of the bulbs is going to be based on the level of disinfection rate you want. If the customer is only looking to keep the coils clean and they don't care what their airborne disinfection rate is, then great, you could probably have just 2 rows of bulbs. They could be 12 inches apart, you're fine. If they want to get as much disinfection as possible out of your solution, we might want to add another row of bulbs in, keep it even closer together because the closer the overlap of the UV lead is on that surface, the more disinfection rate we can accomplish. And then this is technically coil plus air because you have air passing through the coil. So you're going to gain a little bit of airstream disinfection. But there's that blue and green graph again. The reason why I'm saying that only a little bit is you should still offer an airstream solution option because, yes, you're getting some airstream disinfection as the air is passing through these giant coils past our bulbs, but is not the same level for airborne viruses as getting a solution put in the actual airstream. So to sum that up, And again, every single version of our commercial product offering is called UV Matrix. So UV Matrix is commercial. Then it just comes down to which version of that series you need. If we're dealing with coil with a little bit of airstream and you have the big enough coil surfaces to go with it, cool. We have these nice high-end racks. All the wiring and electronic components are hidden on the far left and the far right. These are actually shipped closer together. It's actually a telescoping design. So you pull it out of a square box and you slide the rack apart to cover that maximum surface area. And then your height will, depending if you need 1, 2, or 3, if you get these giant coils that I've seen on top of like public libraries that I've been inside of. Again, 4X, that's something smaller. Okay, I don't have that big space for that rack. And I want to get all the components outside of the unit. So I just want a minimum influence on the space inside the equipment. I just want to get those bulbs in there, get the disinfection going. So that's the NEMA 4X version. And again, you're going to gain a little bit of airstream from that as well. But if you really have a customer trying to go accomplish, in a church or a school or a hospital, whatever, this is your airstream solution. We will figure out, okay, well, how many bulbs do we need with the amount of feet per minute air moving by? And again, we keep everything outside the airstream. All the components will be mounted in this enclosure, and then you're just cutting access holes for the UV bulbs to go in. And depending on the application for airstream, you might need to come in from 2 sides of the ductwork if the ductwork is very massive. If you're going beyond like 20 inches of bulb length, and you want to, in this world, if you want maximum disinfection rate inside an airstream supply duct, we need to see at least 80% or greater of bulb coverage going across the ductwork. So if it's a large, wide ductwork, we might need one of these on the left, one on the right, and the bulbs are kind of meeting in the middle to get you full coverage. And then the amount of bulbs in a row are just based on your disinfection rate, right? How fast is that air moving past these? And that's how we start attacking airstream solutions. And then we do like to note, we can add on PCO here. It's not like it only exists residentially. So if that's something people want to kick it up another notch, we can also design these things for PCO as well. But this is the thing I wanted to close out with today, because most people, and even I didn't know about this until 2 months ago. So upper room, again, per ASHRAE guidelines, if you go through chapter 62 in the handbook, they show you mock-ups, actual installations from like down in Brazil and an old hospital in New York. The hospital's not there anymore, but they've since updated it. But in these images, they're showing you upper room applications. So what they're educating on is that there's a natural convective airflow that we don't feel, right? Cold air on the bottom, hot air up top. So with that natural circulation of air in a large, wide open space, they figured out a way to address what's called an upper room application. These are small powder-coated or stainless steel cabinets that we have fabricated, and there's 2 standard UVC class bulbs in there. And there's no motors, there's no fans. You literally just wire this thing for power so the bulbs light up, and it does its job. And you come back and you change the bulbs. But long story short, they go over how upper air irradiance, obviously, again, proximity from the box, coming outward from these bulbs. But in the design, they actually, I'll go back here, they have a panel of louvers in front that faces outwards. So that way, if people are looking up from the floor below, they're not looking directly at the UV light. The UV light with these louvers is being shined straight across the top of the room. The one big thing on this is you have to have a minimum of 7-foot installation height because it needs to be high. That's the whole point. But this is great. I mean, if people have these massive great rooms in a house with wide open ceilings and they want to add even more air radiation, you could technically consider this, even though it's designed for commercial spaces. So, but again, just clearing up how irradiation away from the bulb, away from the unit, again, the further you go away, the less disinfection rate you're gaining. So these are actually designed for about 225 square feet of a wide open space. So in the ASHRAE guidelines, you'll see photos of, in the handbook, chapter 62 shows you photos of like a cafeteria where they might have 2 in a corner and 1 in the middle of the room, and it's just naturally taking care of all that space. They show massive wide open hallways from the old hospital in New York where they had one of these mounted above every single doorway that came in and out of that big, massive hallway because there was so much movement of wide open air. So again, it depends on the design, depends on the application, but upper room is something else that's available to deal with that. So like I said, that's come more popular recently. So as a reminder, That closes out Ultravation. I'll be able to do some QA here in a second. We represent a lot of product lines here in the Northeast. I mean, I'm the Ultravation rep. We do vibration isolation. We deal flex duct. We deal all the caulks and silicones from Red Devil. I'm the Pro One thermostats rep as well. We also have PDM, the Made in the USA Italian quality line set company. We do everything from fire dampers to air radiation, air control dampers to air technologies. We make surge protectors and compressor savers with 521. And we even have a swab test kit from IAQ Lab that will actually give you a 5-minute test, like a test positive. You swab the surface of a coil, it'll tell you if there's something live on the surface there. It's just to help confirm, like, if there's actually something. I actually call it a contractor's upsell tool. It helps contractors help the homeowners or business owners know that, yeah, that's why we have to clean the coil. I'm not just cleaning a coil because I'm bored. It's because, well, within 5 minutes, we prove there's something possibly live here, so we're going to clean it. So it's a great little tool, by the way. But that concludes the training. I'm ready to do some Q&A for you guys. Let me stop recording. And I appreciate all your time. Let me get through all this content for you guys.